what's up? Welcome to the Ace Michaels Show. I'm Ace Michaels, and we are celebrating the holidays. That's why I wore my red tie, my festive tie. Does this feel festive to you? Mm-hmm. To me, it feels like super festive. I'm so festive right now. Woohoo!
Hey.
Anyway, listen, man, a lot of people going through a lot of things because of the pandemic. Let's call the elephant in the room what it is. The pandemic has rocked our worlds. Lots of us going through a lot of painful times. Some are going through some readjustments on a major level. We don't know what to expect next. You just don't know with this thing. So I thought it might be good to bring somebody on who's a professional to talk about coping mechanisms that we can do during this pandemic. One of the things I know for a fact, and this I say from you heart to heart, if someone's going through a bad time, one of your friends seems depressed, they call you, take the call, talk to them. Talk for an hour if you need to, because you never know what a person's going through, and they say, see, they didn't answer my phone call, so they don't care about me. And that's a real thing. That was a real thing before pandemic. The Christmas and New Year's season is the worst time for people to want to commit suicide. So check in on your friends, check in on your family. That's one thing that I do know. But enough of my yapping. You don't come here to hear what I got to say. Welcome to the show for first time. My guest in the studio here in Vegas, Coach LaJuana, is going to tell us, what up? How you doing?
Hi, nice to meet you.
I want to thank you for doing the show.
Oh, you're welcome.
It means a big deal to me because this is our 8th season coming up in January of 2021. And this show started literally from a dream of mine. Like, maybe we can do this. Maybe we can't. And I've done it on an audio format. I've done it studio here, studio here, studio here. But this is the real culmination of what my vision was for the show as far as the studio and the type of guests that we want to have. So tell us a little bit about your backstory before we get into the topic, because you, I'm sure, have an extremely interesting backstory.
I don't know. Well, let me just say, I am a certified life coach. My name is Coach LaJuana. Last name Radcliffe Evans. Got married a little while ago, and that added to my life too. I think, for me, I grew up in Brooklyn, and it was a transition from New York to Vegas, and with this whole COVID, which we will get into, it's like really crazy. But I've been a coach for almost 6 years.
Oh, wow.
And I initially started out just really doing phone coaching, and which a lot of coaches start out that way. But then I was just like, I'm getting burnt out from this. So I just felt like it was like over and over. So I said, I really feel like I need to touch the people, and I need to do live events. So in New York, I started to do live workshops. It was really based on healing emotional wounds, trauma, things from the past, like the real deep stuff that people don't want to talk about, childhood wounds. And so when I moved to Vegas, I started doing the same thing, and I actually started doing it at a few libraries out here, and it was really, really great, and it was going, and I actually was doing a reality show in New York, so I was flying back and forth.
Oh, wow.
I was like a dating coach, helping new people who were dating come together and giving them tips on how to get this love thing going, because a lot of people ask me that, and a part of my backstory is that I was single for 10 years before I met my husband, and people were like, well, okay, how did you go from that mindset? Yeah,
okay,
to that.
now this is a so unprofessional question, but you mean you were single, like single? Like you wasn't seeing nobody for 10 years? Or you were dating casually? So you were single but not committed?
For the first few years, I was dating casually because I was divorced. This is my second marriage. But I was like, you know what? I'm doing this the wrong way. And I was listening to really bad advice from my girlfriends talking about, it's a numbers game. Like, the more you date, you're going to meet somebody. It's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game.
Yeah, and then I'm sitting out there on the manhunt. We all like a group of girls, like, oh, this could be
like
the one.
Like a sea of piranha fish.
Yeah,
just going
and then everybody's like, how many numbers did you get? And it was just
oh my
insane.
God, this is so off topic. Well,
Yeah,
that's hard
no,
for
I
me to
love
believe,
it, though.
because LaJuana, you're a beautiful woman,
Thank
and you have
you.
an energy that's like, bam, 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 bam.
Hey, I'm from Brooklyn, so.
So that's really interesting. Now, here's the thing I want to ask, though. This is what my viewers are going to want.
Yeah.
They're going to want to know this, okay? Because to me, being a life coach is like being a pastor. Like, that's a big step to say you're going to take control of that much influence on a person's
Yeah.
life. So what happened to you? When did you get the calling to be a life coach, and why?
You know, I think I was about 30, and that was when I first started to see, like, this first marriage is not going to work. And my whole life was the family and the husband and the kid, but I really didn't have my own identity. And I just was like, what is my purpose? I just don't know what I'm here to do. And so I worked in different fields, but I just felt like nothing really spoke to my spirit. And then one day, I was on a meetup.com, and it was a group called like Discover Your Life's Purpose, and I joined it. And when I was speaking to the moderator, he was like, one of the ways you know like what you were born to do, your purpose is, first of all, it's natural. It comes natural to you. And you would do it for free, and it brings you so much joy. And yeah, you may have to work at it to refine your gifts, but it's something that you're naturally gifted at. And I was like, and he asked me like, LaJuana, what do you naturally gifted? It's like 13 people on a call. And I said, I really love talking to people and helping them figure out their life. And he was like, And he said, you know what? It sounds like you need to be a life coach. And at that time, nobody knew what a life coach was. It wasn't on television like that. So maybe a year or so later, I was watching a television show called Nip Tuck, and one of the wives of the surgeons hired a life coach. And when I saw that, I said, that's what I'm going to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you find your first couple of people? Because a lot of people who watch our show are entrepreneurs, or they want to be entrepreneurs. And so for them, I've never met everybody who watches the show, but I would think one of the hardest things is to figure out, okay, I know what I want to do.
Yeah.
I know where I want to do it. I know how I want to do it. What I don't know how to do is how to get people to pay me to do it.
Well, that was the thing. So once I saw, okay, I want to be a life coach, it still took some years to find a school. And I really found it by accident. Me and a friend, we had a falling out. I wasn't dating. I was single, really single, not pseudo single.
X2.
Yeah, when I was dating, I was like, my birthday's coming up. I need to do something like really radical. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go through this little brochure. And it was like this spiritual retreat place. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go through it. If I see something going on my birthday weekend, I'm just going to go. I'm not going to even think about it. Mm-hmm. And it was something that was January 10th is my birthday. And I was like, I'm going to go. I don't even care what it is, how much it costs. I went. I hopped on a Greyhound bus, went to Boston, went to this retreat. And I'm thinking I'm going to learn how to be fearless for the new year. I was like, yeah, I need something new. And so the person that was teaching it was Rhonda Britton. Mm-hmm. And she was like one of the first life coaches, like her and Ayanna Van Zandt. And so I didn't know that at the time. I didn't even know who this woman was.
Wow.
But towards the end, she was like, hey, we had this incredible weekend. If you guys want to go further with this, I do have a program. It's called Fearless Living. If you want to be a part of it, you will become a life coach. And I was just like, my ears perked up again. I was like, that's that word again. Mm-hmm. Ooh. Mm-hmm. And so once her assistant said, hey, come in the back, we're going to talk about the price and more. They said, okay, it's going to be $15,000 for the year. And I was like, I can't afford that, but I had a great weekend. Bye.
Right.
And then a couple of months later, the money did almost literally dropped into my lap, and I was able to go and become a life coach.
Isn't that crazy?
That's why when people say whatever you want, God will really make those things happen. But you have to make a move. You have to make a move.
But not on a Greyhound bus again.
I did it. It was snowing.
That's the scariest part of the whole story to me.
I hopped on a Greyhound bus in the dead of winter. It was January 8th, and the snow was coming down so hard, and it was maybe me and 3 other people on the bus, and I was all the way in the back, and I did it.
You're talking about testing your commitment.
To yourself. I did it. I was like, I'm going.
Woo. Wow.
I went.
Okay, so I have a problem where most people I know are in the entertainment business. Mm-hmm. That's a problem. That's a whole nother show. But most of the people, they're entertainers, and so we don't have close personal relationships. We have business personal relationships.
Right.
So during this pandemic, Where my phone back in March or February was busy all the time, my phone gradually got less and less busy. And my visitors got to be less and less. And I got on lockdown in Vegas and I didn't go anywhere and I haven't gone anywhere. And so I've started to feel almost depression
Yeah.
effects. So, what would you say for many, many people like me that they're just like, I'm tired of being locked in the same room. I'm tired of looking at the same four walls. Uh, I don't know what to do. I'm going crazy for companionship, for
Yeah.
interaction, for
Yeah.
just somebody to talk to that's not my boss.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned meetup.com earlier, and that really is a great resource for people. And they have so many different things that you could, whatever interest you have, cooking, photography, dancing, anything. They have groups for everything. I would say just use social media more. And also really check in with yourself and say, okay, what is it that I'm really needing? Yeah, I want companionship, but am I solely leaning on others to fulfill something else that's in here? And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people have been saying that a lot of stuff from the past been coming up during this lockdown that they have not been wanting to deal with for years. They've been
Yes.
really suppressing it.
Yes.
So it could be stuff that happened in childhood. It could be something that happened 10 years ago, whatever. Whatever low self-esteem somebody's been dealing with, it's been coming up.
It's interesting that you say that because I have been finding recently
Yeah.
that I've been having dreams that feature people from my high school or feature even a best friend that I had that we no longer talk, but he was in my dream the other night,
Yes.
and it was like,
Yep.
what are you doing
all
here?
that all
You
that
know?
undigested stuff is coming up, and so that's what I would say. Do you really want companionship because you really feel like that's something that's going to be fulfilling, or are you trying to use that to distract yourself from healing?
Now let me ask you this. I don't know the answer to that question, by the way,
Oh.
but let me ask you this. So my mother, she is a mature woman. Obviously, she's my mother, and she had a friend that recently passed from COVID. Then right back to that, we had an aunt that passed from COVID. So what do you say in those cases where a person is wandering and pondering life and they're already in that golden age, so to speak, and now
Yeah.
we got this pandemic and it's hitting people in their age group? What do you say to that?
Well, number one, spirit connect to you, whether it's God, a higher source, whatever, because you're going to have some kind of level of faith in something that's higher than you. And also watch what you see on the media. Like, watch that. Really observing yourself. How is that affecting me? Because I know for me, I watch the news on television maybe once a week. Because I know when it initially happened, I was watching all the time. And then on my phone, like, oh my goodness, how many people died today? So I would tell elder people and really anybody, really watch what you're consuming, because that could be the thing that's causing a lot of anxiety. And reach out to people, because people, everybody's suffering right now. I don't care what they're putting on social media. I don't care how they're smiling. Everybody's going through a certain level of suffering right now, because how could this lockdown not affect us all? It's global.
So that's a great that you say that. And I want to hit you with one more before we run
Yeah.
out of time. Okay, so here's the situation. So I have been looking for a great job for a long time. Last December, I started working for a fabulous company with lots of opportunity. And come March, they let us all go. Now I'm delivering pizzas. I'm working for call center at the house. I feel like a failure at my age to have worked this hard and finally got through that door, and for that to be stripped away. I'm angry at the government. I'm angry at myself. I'm angry at life.
Yeah. I would say that's wonderful.
Really.
Yeah. And you know why? Because being stripped of things gives you another opportunity to really discover who you are. Like I said earlier, before I became a coach, I was so dependent upon this friendship that I had. I was so dependent upon other relationships that I had. And so I was so immersed in these people, and other things that I was doing that I really wasn't invested in me or what my calling was. And so it only was when those friendships and relationships ended and everything was stripped that I really found out what I was born to do. So if these things are happening, change your perspective and not look at it as, oh, woe is me, like this is horrible, everything. It's like this is an incredible opportunity to really discover who you are because you're still alive. You still have purpose. So because things are being stripped away, now you can see the real you. When you have dirty dishes in the sink, the more you wash it away and strip it of everything, you get to see what it really is. And I think that's what's happening for us all. We're getting to see who we truly, really are without all these distractions that we had before this happened.
Hey, yay, men. I can't close the show on a stronger note than that. There's nothing I can say to close the show that'll be stronger than that. So the only thing that I have to ask then is, how do we stalk you on social media? How do we follow you? You've won our hearts and minds today.
Okay.
What do we need to do next to become fans, followers, likers, subscribers?
Well, I have a brand new YouTube channel called
Nice.
Coach LaJuana. I will be really putting some incredible content on that like every week. I am on Facebook at Certified Life Coach LaJuana Radcliffe. I am on Instagram on Coach LaJuana, and you can email me at lajuanaradcliffe@gmail.com if you want to reach out to me too that way.
And that is what's up. And you know, when you see somebody doing good, I've always said this, you got to support that. I mean, it's, you know, you support things that aren't so good, and you don't have any trouble jumping on that bandwagon. But this is a bandwagon when you see somebody, like I said, that's doing something you know is right for other people and for themselves. You got to support.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the end of the show. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Make sure you subscribe. And you know what I say at the end of every show: live the life you love the life you live. Thank
I love
you.
that. That's awesome.